Does my hair look alright? Look like I had a piece on the wrong side. I think my hair always look good though. What's good with y'all boys, man? Welcome back to another story time. First off, thank you for watching. If you made it this far in the series, I appreciate you a lot, man. You are now a part of whatever it is we got going on here. I'm gonna come up with a name with it eventually, but if you got a name, leave it in the comments. Let's talk. Hey, talk to me. If you like it, leave it in the comments. I noticed you haven't commented lately. Let's talk about it. Here's an ad for commenting. That's all I got. Let's jump straight into the story, man. It's the Nibiru story. If y'all watched parts 1, 2, then y'all know we are on part 3, my boy. So if you didn't watch part 2, go back and watch part 2. That was all about Ea touching down on Earth and meeting up with Alalu in the 7 days that he took and what they were doing. That's the plan. But this part 3, my boy, it takes place over the course of about a shar later. And for those of y'all that don't remember, a shar is 3,600 Earth years. So after 3,600 years on Earth, Ea has mined very little gold from the water for his standards. For what he wanted, he's mined very little gold. He's mined a lot of copper. He's mined a lot of lead, but he hasn't pulled out a lot of gold. And at this time, Nibiru is like, yo, it's been a shar. We're waiting on you to send the gold over. He's like, all right, I'll send you what I got. He grabs Abgal, the pilot, and he's like, yo, take all this gold, go ahead and fly it back to Nibiru. Meanwhile, I'll get back to mining more gold. So Abgal and a few of the men hop on the spaceship with all the baskets of gold, and they fly back to Nibiru. You feel me? They go through the asteroid belt with the water weapons, this time with ease. It's normal now. And off in the distance, they see Nibiru alone by itself, and they can tell it's Nibiru by its reddish glow. As they pull up and land on Nibiru, they're welcomed with open arms. Anu was like, thank you, it's so amazing. He radios back to Ea on Earth. He's like, look, we got the gold and we're saved. Thank you. And it takes, over the course of about 2 shars, is the time it takes for them to grind the gold down into a powder small enough to send it to the atmosphere and get it into the atmosphere and actually have it stay in the atmosphere. But Nibiru on its circuit through the solar system, it begins to become closer to Earth. As it gets closer to Earth, the gold is starting to wear down. It starts to degenerate. So they realize, okay, Anu realizes quickly, okay, so until we can fully fix this problem, we need somebody on Earth constantly mining and constantly sending gold back to Nibiru. So he radios to Ea. He's like, look, we came close to the sun and the gold didn't hold as good as we thought it would. We need you to keep mining. The mining mission is still on. And so Abgal is now sent back to Earth. Abgal gets back to Earth, links up with Ea. Ea's happy to see him, you feel me? And now they go back to mining. After the course of another shar, Nibiru is hitting them up again. He's like, yo, we're back close. Go ahead and get ready to send over the gold that you got. And Ea's looking at the gold, and it's less than what he sent the first time. And he's like, man, they're going to be let down. I need to figure out another way to get this stuff. So he sends Abgal over to send him the next baskets of gold, knowing that they're going to be disappointed when they see it. So what he does then, he gets in his spaceship, and he's like, I need to search. They keep telling me Tiamat had these golden veins. Then where are the golden veins of Earth? Where's all this gold at? So he hopped in the ship, he flew over the land, and he comes across this heart-shaped landmass, and he scans it. His scanner comes back, and it says the gold's sitting right here. He's like, bruh, we've been pulling it out the water, and there's gold underneath all this land. We just got to figure out a way to get it out. So he names this heart-shaped landmass the Absu, the place where gold is abundant. That's where Absu means. Absu, the place where gold is abundant. He then goes back to Eridu. This is the name of the settlement that they have set up. It's made of reed huts. It's nothing too fancy. If you don't know what a reed hut looks like, I might throw a picture right here. So he radios back to Nibiru. He's like, look, I found the real gold. I know where the real gold is at, but it's inside the land. Like, we need something that can mine it. Like, I need tools. We need to send somebody. We need more people. We need to send somebody here so we can mine it. So they hear this message. Enlil is like, sure enough, they couldn't find it in the water. Him and Alalu both said it was in the water, and it ain't found nothing. And now they're saying it's in the land, and now they can't get it. Here, just send me. I'm going to go and figure out what's really going on. So Anu's like, all right, bet, prepare the ship. We're going to send Enlil. Enlil, you go figure it out. Now, Enlil and Ea are brothers, but they are only half brothers. Ea is the firstborn son of the king, but he was born to a concubine. Enlil is the second-born son of the king, but he was born to the wife. He was born to the queen, who is a full royal blood. So that would make Enlil a full royal blood, meaning even though he is the second-born, he's next in line after Anu for the throne because he's full-blooded. So Enlil begins his journey to Earth. He now lands on Earth. He greets Ea with open arms, and he's like, let's get straight to the business, my brother. I'm not here to play games with you. Let's get what's going on. So they go up in the ship. Ea takes Enlil to the Abzu. He shows him where the gold is. Enlil's like, sure enough, there is gold here, and we do need to figure out a way to get it. Let's go back, regroup, and once they get back to Eridu, Enlil begins to make a plan. Enlil's like, look, we need more soldiers to mine. We need the tools to mine. We need to set up a landing place for ships to go to and from here so that they can send the gold back and forth. We need to expand Eridu and make more settlements so that we can house all these people. We need to set up a lot of stuff here. And Ea and Anzu was like, that's great, but who's going to be in charge of all that? Like, who's going to run this part? Ea was like, who's going to run Eridu? I like Eridu. That's where I want to be at. Who's going to run the Abzu? Who's going to run the landing ships? That's what Anzu wanted to know. He's like, who's going to be in charge of all this landing stuff? Enlil was like, all right, look, we're just going to send word back to Nibiru and call Anu and tell him he need to come here so he can hear this mission and he can make all the decisions since he the king. They was like, bet. So they radio to Anu and they let him know, Enlil says, we need to set up a mining mission on this planet and we need a lot of stuff to get this going. I need you to come here and take a look at it and then let me know what you're thinking. So Anu prepares to fly to Earth. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Ea and Enlil are preparing for Anu's arrival because he's a king. They got to make sure Eridu is fit for a king. So they build up the reed huts. They build some reed boats. They get the food that they got together. They get all the men together. And once Anu lands, they have him land off in the water so that they can boat him to the land, to shore. You feel me? They got it nice. They got it set up real good. So they do Anu lands. They put him in a boat. They roll him over to Eridu. They do all they greetings, they congregate, everybody's having a good time. Backslapping is what they called it. You feel me? And then Anu's like, all right, so what's going on? So Enlil and Ea get Anu in the ship. They fly him to the Abzu, bring him in, explain the plan. And he's like, yep, sure enough, there is gold here. This gold must be mined because we need it to save Nibiru. So I don't care what it has to happen. The mining mission to go, just let us know what you need to do it. So he told him, he said, go ahead, okay the soldiers, okay the tools, okay everything you need to build the launch pads, okay the building of settlements, you can do all of that, let's get it going. But what he didn't tell him was that he planned on building a little way station out in Earth's orbit just to keep an eye on everything. You feel me? He planned on having something just floating around just so that he could just be there without being there. You feel me? So then Ea steps up and he's like, all right, let me be in charge of Eridu and let Enlil be in charge of the Abzu and the mining mission. Enlil was like, hold on. I'm not doing that. He's like, you know more about the Earth, so you should be in the Abzu mining because you know more about it. I know more about ships and how to fly them and how to build them and how to build launch pads and landing pads and things of that nature. So I should be in Eridu and build the settlements and build launch pads. They were arguing back and forth, and Anu was like, Anu in his heart, he's like, yeah, I know, like, somebody has to be here, somebody has to be mining, somebody has to run Eridu, and somebody has to run Nibiru. So he was like, he grabbed some sticks, and he was like, look, we're going to draw sticks for it. Everybody grab a stick. Longest stick is king on Nibiru. He will go back to Nibiru and rule Nibiru. Second longest will rule in Eridu, in the settlements and the launch pads. And shortest stick will rule the Abzu. And they was like, what? All right, bet. All right, I guess that works. So everybody grabbed the stick, they pulled it out. Ea's was the shortest, Enlil's was the second longest, and Anu's was the longest. Ea almost shed a tear. Ea almost cried. He was very emotional about it. And Anu saw how emotional he was, and he saw how happy Enlil was with the decision. So Anu said, let it be known that although Ea is working in the Abzu, He is still the king of Earth. He was still the first one here. He was still the one that found the gold and began sending it back. He is still the savior of Nibiru. Let that be known. So don't take that away from him. Enlil was like, fuck it, nigga, you can have that shit. I don't care. And then they were like, let's change his name from Ea to Enki. He will now rule with the name Enki, master of Earth. But while all of this was going on, Alalu's standing there like, hold up. While you over here making decisions, I think you forgot about something. For 8 shars, I've been sitting on this planet running Eridu. When I told y'all when I first got here, you can't even get none of this gold if you don't make me king, bro. Like, what did you forget about all that? And he was like, bro, I ain't forget. No, you know, what you trying to do? Alalu was like, either make me king right now or we gonna have to wrestle for it. What's the word? Anu was like, fuck it. Took his shirt off. He was like, let's get to it. They wrestled. Anu ended up beating Alalu once again. This time he put his foot on his chest and he was like, bro, are you done? Do you give up? While he was celebrating with the crowd, because everybody was watching, Alalu pushed his foot off his chest, jumped up, and bit this nigga dick off. He bit his dick. Anu is now screaming in pain, rolling on the ground. Enlil is like, kill him now. Kill him, and Ea's like, no. Enki is like, no, don't kill him. Put him in jail. Not only did he bite this nigga's dick off, he swallowed it. While Anu is recovering, they're taking care of Anu. They gather the 7 that judge. Eventually, Anu is there, Enlil is there, Enki is there, Anzu is there, and a few others are there. And they're sitting there and they're like, what are we going to do? Enlil steps up, and Enlil is like, kill that nigga now. He's like, why are we even here? We just saw what he just did. We all saw the shit. Kill him now. Ea was like, well, hold on. Listen, let's wait. Enki was like, well, hold on now. Well, he just ate a nigga dick. If we don't feed him nothing else and we just let that dissolve, it's going to kill him anyway. He's already thrown up sick. Let's just put him in jail for the rest of his days and let him die in jail. And they were like, all right. The crowd, the 7 was like, all right, we could kind of fuck with that. Enlil stepped up again and he was like, look, bro, like, no. He just bit this nigga's manhood off. He can no longer have kids. That's the end of his bloodline. Like, what? No. Like, kill him now. Anu sat there. He was trying to make a logical decision. Anu was trying to make the most logical decision after hearing everybody speak. And Enki was like, well, Alalu, what do you say? And Alalu shared his side of the story. And Anu felt he felt him. You feel me? Although Anu felt like he was hurt, he also understood why Alalu was hurt. And what his decision was now going to be was, he said, let's do banishment. Because Enlil was pushing death. Enki was pushing jail. Enlil said, let's banish him. And everybody was like, banish him to where? He was like, on the way here, we saw Lamu, the planet Mars. That's what we call Mars. They called it Lamu. He said, we saw Lamu. Let's banish him to Lamu. Let's let him die on a strange planet. The dick in his body gonna kill him anyway, and you want him dead. Let's let him die on a strange planet. Spend out the rest of his days on Mars. And everybody looked at each other, and it was the 7 that judge looked, and they was like, all right, that worked. So then preparations were made for Anu to fly back home, and on the way home, they were going to drop off Alalu on Mars, and Anzu would be the pilot for this mission. So as they began to fly off, and on the way to Mars, Anzu looks over to Anu and he says, look, when you drop Alalu off on Mars, drop me off too. Anu's like, what? What are you talking about, bro? Anzu was like, look, yeah, he did something despicable. Yeah, everybody else wanted to die, but he's still a Nibiruan at the end of the day. He's still one of us. He's still a king in our annals. He's still a king in our history, bruh. So we gotta treat him like a king. Like, he's still one of us. And Anu was like, that's very real of you, my nigga. He almost shed a tear. He was like, he respected her. He was like, I respect that. I respect that even though everybody else wants to kill him, you want to treat him like he's still a Nibiru. He's like, I will do that for you. And he was like, what else I'll do for you is next time we send a convoy to Earth, I'm gonna have him swing by Mars. And if you are still alive, my boy, it's yours. When we set up a waypoint on Mars, you in charge of it. It's all you, my boy. Anzu was like, thank you. When they got to Mars, they dropped off Anzu and Alalu, gave Anzu a salute, and then they flew off. And they left Alalu to die on Mars. Anu then returned to Nibiru and told the stories of what happened on Earth. And he didn't expect pity out of none of them. He didn't want them to feel sad about losing his dick. You feel me? And they didn't. You feel me? But what he did next was he told them what the mission is. He was like, look, they're about to be sending us some messages here soon on what they need. Be prepared to build all the tools to mine Earth. It is a full-on mining mission on Earth to save Nibiru. We will be mining Earth for gold, sending it back here, throwing it in our atmosphere, and eventually until we can permanently fix our atmosphere. Along with that, he told them, I also want to set up way stations on every single planet in that solar system. He wanted basically pit stops on the way. So when they were traveling to and from Earth, because it wasn't a short travel, they had to go through 6 planets just to get to Earth. You feel me? So while we traveling to and from Earth, I want pit stops. I need hotels. I need gas stations. I need all of that on every single one of these planets. I need you to turn every planet on the way there into a pit stop. And that's how we're going to run that solar system. And that's how we're going to provide gold to this Nibiru. And that's how we're going to save Nibiru. And everybody they thought about it, and they was like, bet, that worked for me. Let's do it. So they began devising that plan. You feel me? After, meanwhile, back on Earth, Enki is in the Abzu, figuring out what tools he needs. He needs something that crunches. He needs something that crushes. He needs something that smushes. He needs something that smushes. You feel me? In order to mine the gold from Earth so they can send it back to Nibiru. And over in Eridu, which has now been named the Eden, the abode of the upright ones, there's going to be a lot of name changes going on. So just follow it. Just follow it. I'm with y'all though. Now, back in Eden, Enlil is flying around to Eden to see what all of it looks like. He's trying to get a good feel for Eden. He's taking data on it. He also trying to figure out where the best place to live is at. Because you also got to understand, they were going through it. They were aliens on an alien planet. You feel me? What was going on was the days were a lot shorter. Because I told y'all, a year for them is 36,000 years on this planet. So a day is really probably like a couple hours. So if they're going through night and day in a couple hours, it was throwing their body off. It was messing them up. As well as with Enlil, he couldn't stand the sun. The heat rays from the sun, he couldn't do it. His body couldn't take it. He didn't like it. He wanted to be somewhere where it was shady and cool. So as he's flying around, he's on the north side of the Eden, and he finds some mountains. He uses the beam from his ship to flatten out those mountains, and he uses some of the soldiers to help him build his house on the mountains. He was surrounded by tall cedar trees. He loved it. He wasn't deep in the sun rays. He was around some snowy mountains. He was chilling. While all of that's going on, Enki has now figured out all the tools that he's needing. He's back in Eridu, and he's radioing to Nibiru a list of the tools that he needs so that they can build them and send them to Earth so that he can get to go. They began building the tools over the course of about another shar. They're ready to send another group to Earth. So now, up until this point, guys, they've been on Earth for about 9 shars. That's 9 times 3,600. So they've been on the planet for 32,400 years now. So they've been on the planet for 32,400 years now, mining the water and setting up settlement. Meanwhile, back on Nibiru, Ninma is preparing to go to Earth. Ninma is an actual healer and educated in all things that give life and help life grow. So meanwhile, while these niggas are out here mining shit and fucking building houses, she's actually gonna be out here saving lives and helping people grow and taking care of these settlements that they're gonna abandon. She's gonna be the one actually out here helping. So they put her and her group on the ship of healers and farmers and things of that nature. They fly her over to, they put her on a ship to fly her to Earth. On the way to Earth, she swings by Mars, because you remember, they said if Anzu was still alive, they would give Mars to Anzu. So she pulls up on Mars, and sure enough, when she lands on Mars, she sees Anzu lying on the ground close to death, if not already dead. So what she does, when she pulls up all slick like how she do, real healer shit, you feel me? She pull out the pulsar, and she pull out the emitter, and the emitter got a motherfucking crystal of life on it. You feel me? Hey, these are just the names. I don't know other names for them. This is what they put. I'm telling you what they say. She put the pulsar on his heart. She puts the emitter to his body, and then she begins to do this 60 times. 60 times the pulsar pulsed, and 60 times the emitter emitted. You feel me? These are their words. After 60th time, Anzu's eyes opened and his mouth began to move. At this point, she poured the water of life into his mouth and then gave him the food of life, and he hopped up and he was alive. And everybody was like, sure enough, she just cured death. That's crazy. After Anzu comes to his senses, Ninma is like, yo, where is Alalu? And Anzu's like, he died a while back. I had to bury him in this cave not too far away. I can take you to it. So she's like, let's go. Anzu takes Ninma and them to the cave, and it's covered with 2 stones. They move the stones out the way. Sure enough, Alalu is in the cave dead, and they move the stones back, and they record it in the history books, and they say, and this is the very first time a king has died off Nibiru and not been buried on Nibiru. So we got to report this. This is memory. And she was like, Anzu, you surely will be in charge of the way station set up here. We'll be sending recruits and things for you here soon. So Anzu and Nineveh got in their ship, and before they flew off, they used the beams on the ship to carve Anzu's face into the mountain over the cave that he was buried in. It was him in an eagle's helmet with his face exposed on the side of the mountain, and then they left and they flew off to Earth. And that, my boy, ends this video. If you want to listen to part 4, 5, 6, and 7, they coming out here soon. Just make sure you turn your notifications on, bro. Turn your notifications on so that you can know when they drop. That's all you need. Thank you for watching the video. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Duffel Bag and everything. And I'll see you next week.